What's up to all our sidekicks and henchmen out there in the Geek Nation? You're listening and / watching the YouTube CultPop Sunday morning 10:30 a.m. weekly comic book review extravaganza show. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo. With me this week is Ben. Ben the Lat Tribble.
Oh, I thought it was going to be me.
Len the Bat Tribble. Tell the people something.
Yo, what's up? How you doing? Let's start the show. Let's get real.
Okay. Also with me this week is Brian.
Hey, you're right. I'm with you, and so is Len, and so I'm also with you.
And Noel.
Hi.
Hey, we're here to talk about this week's books, as I previously stated in my very concise intro.
Super concise.
But first, we've got correspondence.
Correspondence for people who listen to the show.
And this
Letters?
is from Christopher St. Saucy. Good night. Longtime abusive boyfriend of the show.
Why you gonna go negative, real like abusive boyfriend?
Well, we stay with him. So
what are we?
As the analogy,
it's a mildly manipulative relationship. So yeah, I feel like that tracks.
Yeah. Robert Monroe was down in the comments saying, "Good morning, fellas."
What's up, Rob?
All right, so the title of this email is called "I'm Gonna Need Something from DC at the End of This Future State Nonsense," and the subject of the email is thus. First, I'm going to need JD to read the title of this email.
Done.
Wait, how are you saying this is this okay?
What?
So this is an abusive relationship because now it's just a list of demands. They're not even emails anymore. They're just lists.
Secondly, I'm gonna need an explanation as to how all of this nonsense started at the same time in multiple cities, and I'm gonna need a timeline because some books / stories seem to be coexisting while others are far in the future. 25 years later, and the lanterns still are unpowered. The future ain't looking so bright. I'm fine with the idea of legacy characters, but honestly, none of this makes any sense. The new Justice League would be an awesome story. It feels very 2099 or Batman Beyond, but the John Kent in it doesn't seem to mesh with the one in Superman of Metropolis. The Titans book, it seems like it is going to be good, but the ending was confusing. I feel like all of these books should have been Elseworld tales from the new multiverse that was set up in Death Metal and keeps getting mentioned at the beginning of each of these books, but so far, that doesn't seem to be the case. This is everything I have wanted from events before. Stop publishing normal ongoings and just put out the event books, kind of like what X-Men did with the original Age of Apocalypse, but there doesn't seem to have been a proper setup like with Age of Apocalypse, and like with House of M, it seems more wires may have been crossed. Books I enjoyed. Swamp Thing, great art. Wonder Woman, great story. Green Lantern, the backups were better than the main story. The Dark Detective, both the main and backup had good art and a fun story for now. Justice League, I'm going to need that Flash to stick around. And Teen Titans, it's got me curious with that ending. Also, I mentioned this during JD's unboxing video that he does every Tuesday at 2:00 p.m. on the YouTube channel. But you should all check out Aftershocks Scout's Honor. That's the name of the book, and Aftershock is the publisher. Chris St. Saucy, good night. Sorry for the rambling, but not for his demands. Okay, so, Noel, you have something to say.
Well, I mean, I just want to go first after you.
Noel, you have something to say.
Oh, this has been a constant conversation with us just like on the chat. Of the fact that it's cool in a bottle, but this whole event or this whole initiative is like 48 bottles all like coexisting, and there's no real cohesion between any of them. Some of them have cohesion, but it's not listed out as any kind of cohesion or any kind of connection. Like just last night, we were Brian and I were discussing the fact that wait, no, Superman, Wonder Woman comes first. No, Justice League comes first. But then I pulled out my free comic book day future state primer that came out like 3 months ago and had to look up that, oh, actually, Superman, Wonder Woman happens 40 years before Justice League happens.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I'm sorry, did you say 40 years?
No, after
30. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a
and
timeline
neither
in
of those
here.
characters age in 40 years?
Well, it does kind of make sense for them.
He got a cape.
Yeah, he did get a
And
cape.
then he doesn't have a cape.
He did got
So
a cape.
it was Justice League happens in 2040, and Superman Wonder Woman happens in 2070. So he grows a cape when he gets older.
Yeah.
But these two, like this example is the fact that they're both kind of in the same timeline of the Magistrate and Gotham and Justice League and stuff. Oh wait, no, they're not. They're not.
I think they all are. Like we had thought that they weren't, but it seems as though they are all in the same reality, just at different points in time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Holy
that's what.
incongruous continuity, Batman. This is ridiculous. There should definitely be a timeline, some sort of thing to let you know which to read first.
Well, I mean,
or, as we've said time and time again, no. Not get.
Well, I think it could be solved just with the year at the end. So the description, that little bubble that they have, is not great. It's not a great lead into this book. But that being different would be the only thing necessary for, you know what I mean? Just whatever, and then the year is 2030. And then that would give you kind of a touchstone for things.
I think the biggest problem we're having too with the fact that this is not, it's not really an event it's an initiative. It's not an event. So it doesn't have to kind of all line up, and it's reverse engineered. This was supposed to be new continuity for a couple of years, and they just kind of let's figure out this is convergence. This is a time.
Well,
saver.
just to go on record though, I am not having a problem with it. Like you guys are, and and I can see those problems, and I think it could have been pitched to the reader a little more, so you can get a handle on the fact that there's this timeline. And I would like that to be the case. But overall, like, I'm still down with it. I didn't get into Convergence, but I see it as one of those, here's a Elseworlds for 2 months,
I just started reading Superman Rebirth, the Tomasi stuff. It's very nice. It's wonderful. But I had to, in a weird way, because like 30 years of reading experience, we start to kind of put pieces together in our head as to where things fit.
Sure.
And a lot of times that's a detriment to anything else because you just can't enjoy like what's in front of you, trying to figure out all the minutia. So I had to like train myself to just try and read it as its standalone thing. Sure, some of the threads are continued otherwise, but standalone thing. I have to do this with every issue of Future State because there's really nothing to grab onto. So it's almost like annoying. Like I have to remember, is this 30 years, 40 years, 60 years?
Yeah.
Same
see
feature,
that
feature. So
the idea of getting the whole thing
is
is
the wrong
cool.
foot. Just it's fine.
Yeah, and it's a shame that it wasn't like I was saying that put the year in the front, give the reader the idea that this is the history of the future of the DC universe, like as it progresses. Maybe that would be enough to,
And none of it's going to inherently matter after these 2 months.
Although, I'm kind of curious because one of the things that dropped was there is going to be Batman: The Second Son, which is going to be a series after this, which I think is going to continue this new Batman, right? No,
it's called The Next Batman: Second Son, and it's a prequel to the potential future of Future State. It's not a continuation. If Future State is real, this was going to be what led up to those events, and it's just a miniseries.
Oh, okay.
Wait, but he's in like that Batman. Is he in the?
So it's described as a 6-issue miniseries that leads to the events of Future State.
No. Okay. But I mean, he's in the Infinite Frontier thing. Would that be enough to get him in the picture of what they are doing in the future of the DC universe? You know what I mean?
I mean, everyone's in that thing. I mean, I didn't take that as any kind of everyone posed for a picture because we just did this thing. I figured just like
I thought it was like an advertisement for what DC was going to be after Future State.
Yeah, but they're not all connected in the picture.
Right.
Part of the fun of the podcast for me is watching Len silently react to our conversation.
Yeah, Len audibly reacts. What's happening?
I have nothing to add to this conversation.
All right. Well, let's start with Future State Dark Detective #1, since we're on that tip anyway. From DC Comics, with writing by Mirko Tamaki and Matt Rosenberg, and art by Dan Mora and Carmine Diageminico. DC has this to say about this book. The world thought Bruce Wayne was dead. They were dead wrong. When the sinister paramilitary organization known as the Magistrate seizes control of Gotham City, the original Batman went big to put them down. But even the Dark Knight couldn't predict how far this evil force would go to stop him. Now, Bruce Wayne is on the run. Also in this issue, Grifter is back. Cole Cash is having a bad day, but that's not going to improve when the detectives of the GCPD show up. Will a chance meeting with Luke Fox change his luck, or is his day about to get a lot worse? This book was great. I have had different reactions to the different Future State books. I was very, very, very excited for this initiative to start, and I have had it's been ups and downs, peaks and valleys, as they say. This, I think, is a peak. I think Dark Detective is really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. Dan Mora does not hurt. I would like to see a lot more Dan Mora interiors, and I love Mariko Tamaki very much. I believe we know her from the all-new Wolverine. No, that was Tom Taylor. Mariko Tamaki did This One Summer. Bunch of indie stuff.
Laura Dean. Not Laura Dean.
Laura Dean keeps breaking up with me?
Yeah. And she just recently, she's on Wonder Woman. She just wrapped up her little Wonder Woman run.
It's the Wonder Woman run that I enjoyed.
She's done some Supergirl. She's done, like, she's all over the joint.
Yeah.
YA and adult. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like her. I thought this was great. And it was good to see what happened with Bruce. I don't think I really needed it because I was fine with the mystery of what happened with Bruce and Damian. We still have a Damian question, at least I do, about what happened to that kid. And I have a theory, but I'm not entirely sure. It rhymes with phagostrate. And even the Grifter backup on this was awesome. I thought it was a bucket of fun. What did you guys think, Brian?
I agree. I liked it. I liked the future city design that he is running around in. You know, it's cool. And it's, I mean, the artwork overall is pleasing. I get a sense of Greg Capullo's Bruce Wayne faces in this book, you know? Yeah.
With a thinner line, but yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was like fast-paced, fun story. I find it a little hard to believe that Bruce Wayne doesn't have some money stashed somewhere. You know what I mean? But maybe, who knows how he lost the money? Maybe he was come after by somebody who was able to take all of his stashes out. Interesting, intriguing story that looks very cool, and I want to see what happens next. I hadn't thought, like you said, JD, about this explains the mystery of what happened to Bruce Wayne and whether or not we needed to know. And you're right, I don't think that we do, but it's cool. You know, an excellent tie-in, something you don't have to read, but you enjoy reading.
Yep.
Yeah, this was fun. This was a lot of fun. It was. It's well done. It's a beautiful book. Like you said, you can't knock the art. Dan Mora's art is sensational. The atmosphere of it is like palpable. Like I actually like it felt almost like the big budget movie that they wanted it to feel like. You know what I mean? It was really, 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 really dope. I too didn't care about what happened to Bruce Wayne. I thought Bruce Wayne maybe looked a little young. I would have liked him to look a little older. But besides that, I mean, that's a small nitpick. But besides that, I thought everything about it was cool. It was a nice introduction into this world. Reading this makes a lot of the other Future State books feel slight because they just don't feel like they come together as well as this story did. And then the Grifter story in the back, I'll be honest, I only kind of like just breezed through, but that worked because that was just a big dumb action piece. You know what I mean? And I like that works well with Grifter. I enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I was pleasantly surprised.
No, what's your take?
It's a lot of the same. I also kind of wanted him to look a little bit older and grizzled to make this bigger world feel more appropriate. Yep. He still looks like a 28-year-old man.
It looks like the next issue of Batman.
Yeah, it does. It looks like
well, he's got a 5 o'clock shadow. See.
Oh, I mean that in comics that means he didn't sleep well. It doesn't mean that he's 20 years older. But yeah, it almost. I mean, you could potentially read this as just like Bruce Wayne woke up in this new future now, as opposed to he's been beaten down for somewhere between 5 and 30 years.
When
I don't know.
Right. When is it? Is this in 2025?
I don't know. I'm not pulling the timeline back out. But yeah, other than that, it was awesome. And like Glenn said too, like the backup was arguably the backup was just as strong.
Yeah.
So of 2 weeks so far, as much as I really, really loved Nick Darrington on The Next Batman, I think this is the best Future State book just across the board. It's the strongest. This is really good. Really, really good.
Agreed. Someone stop sniffling into your microphone.
That's me. Sorry.
2027 is when Dark Detective takes place.
Oh, so it is pretty soon. All right, cool. Yeah, I like. I'm not sure how to say their name on Twitch. Mantrig said, "What happened to Bruce Wayne's fortune? 2020 hit him." Which I like. And Todd Engel says, "Mariko did all new Wolverine." So I was not. Isn't that what I said?
X-23. So I guess it was the series after All New Wolverine. You were right. It's Tom Taylor. And then
maybe I'm confusing an artist and a writer. Anyway, yeah, this was great. I'm really excited to read the next issue of this. Let's move on to another one that I enjoyed very much. Future State Justice League #1 from Joshua Williamson with art by Ram V. And Marcio Takara, that's who I'm thinking of. Marcio Takara, I believe, drew the all-new Wolverine, a.k.a. X-23. And I was confusing Marcio Takara with Mariko Tamaki. That's my fault. And Robson Roca on art as well. DC has this to say. Witness the start of a new era for the Justice League, starring Jonathan Kent as Superman, Yara Flor as Wonder Woman, Joe Moline as Green Lantern, Andy Curry as Aquawoman, a new Flash from the multiverse, and Tim Fox as the Batman. Together they protect the future, yet apart, their identities are secret even from one another. But why? When their greatest adversaries wind up murdered in an abandoned Hall of Justice, all clues point to the Justice League? The new team's adventures begin here. And in a new tale, The Justice League Dark, a witch hunt across the DC universe begins as magic users are harvested and executed, and the team is on the run. Zatanna and Detective Chimp, now possessed by Etrigan, must round up new and old teammates, including John Constantine, Ragman, and Madame Xanadu. Their mission? To battle the power-mad Crow King, Merlin, before his plans for magical domination destroy the fabric of reality. But where is Dr. Fate? And what led the team to disband in the first place? Discover the truth here. Holy cats! That took me longer to read that than it took me to read the issue. I really, really, really enjoyed the Justice League starter on this. I thought there was a fun little twist there where the
Thunderbolts.
The what?
The Thunderbolts show up.
Yes.
What in the starter?
He's making a joke about the fact that the reveal was just like, okay, these are Thunderbolts. It was just bad guy versions. It's not funny if I have to explain it. Let's just move on.
The White Martians. Right, at the end. I'm sorry, I was talking about the very beginning of the issue where the Legion of Doom is cackling and deciding that the Justice League is going to die, and then the very next page is the Justice League are there looking at the corpses of the people who were just talking and threatening the Justice League. I thought that was a great turn. I actually chuckled out loud. I was like, that's pretty cute. But yeah, at the end, we got White Martians who are just the Justice League, a story that we've seen before. But what I liked about this were, I guess, the differences, the fact that Batman wasn't the detective who was sticking around to do all of the detecting on his own. It was Joe Moline, who's the world's greatest detective at this point because there's no more Batman. The Batman that we have isn't so much a detective. So it's just like little things like that. And I like the Flash, and I like the problems that they have where the last Justice League were too open with each other, and they think that's why they went the way they did. And so the new Justice League has to like stay separate, not really be friends, not hang out and have pizza and know each other's names. And of course you've got a couple of the characters doing that anyway, just like sneaking off to have little relationships and stuff, which, so I like the storytelling on that stuff. That's what I enjoyed. Len, tell us more about the Thunderbolts.
Well, you learned some more about the Thunderbolts in another book that we're going to be reviewing here tonight. So you'll learn all you need to know about the Thunderbolts there. I wanted to like this book, but I found myself just not. I thought the art was like a little inconsistent. It didn't pull me in, and I'm an art person first. I kind of like the whole idea of them not opening up to one another, because that reads a little bit like, because they're younger Justice League as well. So that kind of reads a little bit like the hubris of the young, like, we're going to do it differently than the old guys, like, no, you don't need to know us. We're going to keep it all secret. But just like the young people, they're all breaking the rules. They just don't tell everybody that they're breaking the rules. So they think they're being so slick. And some of the characters are kind of cool. I mean, you can't not like the new Flash, who's like a binary character, and I like them. Like, it's just matter of fact. It's not anything that is like blown out there. At least I didn't know about it being made a big thing of. If it was, I missed it. But the character design of the new Flash was pretty cool. So I kind of wanted to like it, but at the end of the day, and then seeing the Hyper Clan come back, like, people were just clamoring for the return of the Hyper Clan, which is of course not the case and not the point, but it just read like, I just don't care, and I just hope that they don't just all of a sudden shunt this new Wonder Woman into the old Wonder Woman role and actually respect the originality of her character, which I think they do more in another book that we will read. I don't think that this.
What do you mean by that, Len? Like the traditional Wonder Woman role?
She's just the superpowered chick on the.
I got it.
She didn't read like the character from the Wonder Woman comic book that we read last week.
But this is what, 40 years past that book, so maybe now she is a wise. When you say that, I think like, the role of like peacekeeper and shoulder, and she, in a lot of lesser stories, she's been used to just kind of for the male characters to bounce ideas and fears off of, as opposed to just having her own kind of story told in group settings. Yeah, especially in these group books. But yeah, I see that. And the non-binary character is awesome. The only time that it flipped me, like it weirded me out, not weirded me out, that's the wrong word, that I read it wrong. In the first splash page where it kind of gives you all the descriptions of everybody, if you want to go to that page, theirs is like third. And the way that it's written, you immediately don't know if it's about they or if they're talking about all the they that they just described. So
they came from the multiverse to warn our world of a great conspiracy and stayed behind to help with the fallout.
Alone, read, second time, like, oh, okay, yeah, it's just they. But it's the third or fourth one on the page, and I was going back and forth.
Yeah, so you don't know. Yeah,
those two came from this. Oh, okay. Like, it was just, it was really weirdly laid out.
Maybe we'll get to, as a society, we'll figure out a pronoun that isn't also a plural. Because that can happen sometimes.
I don't think the problem was with the pronoun. I think the problem was with the page layout.
Oh.
Yeah.
But, it happens. So the HyperClan stuff, that was actually, I think, to continue with the Flash, I also love the fact that they're from the multiverse. It is just like a cool, like, this is where the Flash of this Justice League came from. And it seems to have like a cool characterization. I like the conversation between they and Andy that they're having. And Len, I agree with you, that costume design. It's a good entry in the Flash.
It's costume. Dope. Yeah, dope design. Look at that.
Yeah.
And yet they can't seem to give Wally a good costume. But go ahead.
I know, right? Just something to contrast with the red. Yeah. It's a tough one. Where the red of his hair, I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
There were a couple of things in this comic that I was like, wait, why is that the way that it is? Just from I don't know, a little slightly sloppy maybe. Like, why doesn't Wonder Woman know that this is not the Flash that does forensics? Like, they've been working together for at least a little while. Mm-hmm. Why would she be like this is the case? Also, Martian Manhunter's statue, for some reason, is in the back. Everybody else in the Hall of Statues has, like, they're all standing straight up, right in the front. And Martian Manhunter is in behind all of them when they go, and it's weird, right? Anyway, those I just thought were minor things. The Hyper Clan, I thought was cool. I like the story where they're introduced. The what was that, like the first JLA story of Grant Morrison's run? Mm-hmm. And I thought that this was a cool twist on their plan then was to take over as the main superheroes of Earth. And it didn't work because they tried to supplant the Justice League. So now they're like, oh, we're shapeshifters. Why don't we just become the Justice League? And I thought it was an interesting plan, especially interesting for them to do. So, yeah, I was intrigued.
So you liked the book?
Yeah, I liked the book overall. It was not my favorite of the Future State books. I also like that Joe Mullen is in there because
I think it's Mullen.
Yeah, it is. We looked it up on a previous show. Because she's a Green Lantern but has no connection to anybody else in the current comics. So I just think it's cool to see in some future time that she would be on her.
I fall closer to Len. Like, even hearing the description again and all the plot points that you guys are pulling out on paper, this was really enjoyable. But reading it on paper, I was very bored.
Huh.
I like a bunch of pieces, but I don't know. It was I can't necessarily articulate it either. It's just I didn't really care for this, and then it was compounded with the fact that I truly didn't like the second story.
Oh, the Justice League Dark story.
Yeah, that was a slog to get through. So this was just like, this was a little bit of an empty calorie. I like some of the pieces of it. Let's see where it goes. But then I'm slapped with 20 pages of I don't like this at all, and I was just like, I'm not liking this. I'm not down.
Same. I did not care about the Justice League Dark backup story at all.
It was like a novel, and it was all incomprehensible to me. There was no entry point.
I forgot to read it, and I was disappointed because the description that DC gave us sounded awesome.
You mean the 40-page description?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
I'm still going to check it out. I'll let you guys.
I always think I should like the Justice League Dark, and then I rarely do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But why do you think you should though? Because the name feels so contrived.
It's got John Constantine. It's got Zatanna. There's some of the characters that I enjoy, but it's not enough.
The name is the contrived part. You know what I mean? Everything else seems to pretty much work out. But you're right. It's weird that they're called the Justice League Dark.
They would never call themselves the Justice League.
No.
Or maybe it should be Shadow Pact.
That's what it was. I was trying to think what their original name was, and it was Shadow Pact.
Yeah.
Before the New 52.
Yeah, this Justice League book is it feels so like odd to me because I really like a lot of pieces of it, but I just did not enjoy reading it. Like it was a little bit of a chore. I don't know why.
I wish that the first story had been the entire issue. I really like that, and I really like the art. It's got sort of a Yvonne Reese kind of vibe to it with the
first story. First story.
Yeah, wow. Man.
I really didn't. I really felt that it was very inconsistent. There were some panels I liked, but overall, I just didn't think it came together. Some of his faces just didn't look right.
Some of the faces were a little wonky. What?
The show's split. We should. This might be the last one.
That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
The Justice League broke us apart.
Len and I are going to start a podcast about how much we hate the Justice League.
Let's move on to. Oh, you want to do some? All right, so we're going to blow through the rest of the future states. We're going to talk about Green Lantern. We're going to talk about Superman, Wonder Woman, Superwoman, Robin Eternal, Teen Titans. We're just going to blow right through them. Here we go. Let's start with Green Lantern #1, DC Comics, Jeffrey Thorne, Ernie Altbacker, Ryan Cady, with art by Tom Rainey, Sammy Basri, and Clayton Henry. I agree with Christopher St. Saucy Goodnight. I thought that the backups were much better than the first story. A lot of the problems I had with the first story were actually artistic. I usually really like Tom Rainey, and I don't know what's going on, but there is a TikTok filter where when you aim your camera at somebody, it makes their head super big, and that happened a lot with the Tom Rainey art in this first story. Very strange proportions for a lot of the characters, and that threw me off. But then, I mean, I liked that Gnort showed up. I thought that was pretty fun and is a very different version of Gnort than I was used to. But other than that, I did not care about it. I really did enjoy the second story with Jessica Cruz. I thought that was really cool, just sort of like die-harding her way through the villains. I thought was a lot of fun. And what was the third? What was the next one?
The Guy Gardner.
Guy.
Oh, that was fine. That was cute. It didn't really blow me away, but it was fun to watch Guy Gardner progress from current to the future state Guy Gardner. You sort of go through his timeline, which I thought was kind of fun, and how he sort of makes his way through trying to create peace on this planet, which I thought was neat. What did you think, Brian?
I agree about the Guy Gardner story. I like seeing that him becoming a prophet kind of thing. I also like what you said about the art. There is one page in particular that is, I don't know, it's page 9, I believe, in the digital copy, where these like drop ships, there's a terrible thing about to happen, and the one guy on the spaceship is like a skipper, and she seemingly cheerfully, according to the facial expression, is like, "What is it, Bigby?" Like, she's got this smile, it looks like, on her face as the Kuns are invading this planet, which I just thought was an unusual. There you go.
Oh, the bottom right.
Bottom right. Yeah. It's
she does look kind of tickled.
Right? She's like, "What's up?" Like, "What do you got for me?"
Yeah.
Any Green Lantern story where they don't have their Green Lantern rings is going to be a little bit of like, but they don't have their rings.
Yeah.
But that being said, these were cool, essentially sci-fi stories of characters that used to be way, way more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the beginning. First of all, I think the cover is a huge cheat.
Yeah.
Because it's the Green Lanterns. You know, they're in costume. I guess they're giving up their rings. And the art is beautiful. Like, that's a beautiful cover. Mm-hmm. But then you open up the book, and the whole time of the book, I'm like, okay, but when are we getting back to the rings? But when are we getting back to the rings? What's up with Jon Stewart's head? All of a sudden, he's Conan. Like, what the heck? Or John Carter from Mars. Like, what is happening here? I did not dig it. It felt like some weird heavy metal knockoff that just not appeal to me at all. The Jessica Cruz story, for my money, I could just read this book and just be that Jessica Cruz. I wouldn't need anything else. She was dope. I love the art. I love the pacing of it. It's just like a small little, like you said, almost Die Hard is like apt, your description. The Guy Gardner, it belonged where it was, in the back. I was actually surprised that Guy Gardner, you know, over the course of the years of that story, took the time to learn the language of these alien people. So that's why I was like, oh, I guess Guy Gardner is kind of smart. All right, God bless him. But it was a fun little stupid story. With some fun little art. It was nice. That was a nice juxtaposition with Jessica Cruz, and you could have just did away with that opening Green Lantern crap.
I'm in the minority. I actually really liked the first story. I liked the it was structured just like a war comic. It tossed me right in. It didn't give me really any kind of explanation. Just these characters that you kind of know in a different state, and then pushing them through obstacle. It was different. I didn't mind it. I don't know if I would go with it for more than an issue. Like, it felt like a cold open, and then it's going to explain it later. But I didn't dislike it. I seem to have liked it a little bit more than you guys. The Jessica Cruz is really rapidly becoming my favorite Green Lantern. I want to see her more, and that was just a really, really good short story. Yep. I don't give a shit about the Guy Gardner one.
Right on. Action Figure Expert says, hello, what's up? What's going on? How you guys doing? We're great.
Doing well. Good.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Superman Wonder Woman #1, DC Comics by Dan Waters and Leila Del Duca. I think I was about to say I didn't read this, but I did, and I didn't care for it. No. I don't remember it. That's how much I enjoyed it. Oh, right, Solaris. I was really looking forward to this. The art is very interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about.
The art is not good.
Oh, I
wait,
like
hang on. The art is very good when it's just Yara and the sun and moon god. Like when it's her. As soon as this artist like draws Jonathan Kent's face, it's like a Charlie Kirk baby face and a big head.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Like it's so off-putting.
Like this page is nice. Yeah. Yara looks cool.
Every other character is great except Jonathan Kent. I have no idea why he did that to him.
But JD, go back to the page. This is where it fell off for me because the drawing itself is not bad. But go to the page where it's her talking to the sun god and the moon god, right? Which is a nice little concept. And you, as an artist, JD, tell me what is happening with the proportions of these bodies. Look at that first panel.
Yeah,
it's like, and then the panel right after it, where the guy is walking out the door. These proportions look like weird. That's not good art.
Yeah, they're not occupying the space. Yeah,
not at all. And then the dude in the third panel, he's got baby arms. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's happening. And the drawing is
they're
good.
Beefy baby arms though. Like really beefy but little. Look, I very much enjoyed this story for a couple of reasons. One, I like Jonathan Kent as Superman. This is like, I guess, 30 years after.
Yeah, 30 years after Justice League.
Whatever. I really, really like the way the story was structured too, with the idea of 8 seconds takes him to do this, 0.3, 0.2 seconds. Like it's just structured really, really well. How he starts his day every morning, how he kind of goes about the job. I really, really liked. And I love that Yara is being imbued with some of that awesome Azzarello actual pantheon of gods kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not just Greek, but all gods. And then they just kind of had drinks together, which it gave me all the good feels. So like this story, I loved it.
Oh.
Pieces of the art, it kept pulling me out. The writer kept pulling me in. The art kind of kept pulling me out.
Yeah. I like this. They're having a conversation. Wonder Woman, it's been a minute. John, you don't look well. Nah, that's just the artist.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
She has to keep correcting herself with name and title. She does that a couple of times.
I agree with you, Noel, in that this was a book where she reads like the Wonder Woman from the Wonder Woman comic book, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate it. Now, do I necessarily get the sense that this is 30 years after that one or wherever it's supposed to take place in the timeline of that? No. But that's inconsequential to me. Like, I honestly don't even care. I just read them. I'm reading them all. It's just they're Elseworlds, and where they connect, I'll make the connection. If they don't, I really don't give a damn. It's whether or not I enjoy the book itself. But that's what pulled me in, her and her depiction. And there were a couple of storytelling beats. I like that whole the 0.93 seconds thing, because there's one really cool storytelling where the art does sell this, where he's about to go, like he says, like, oh well, I can take care of that, like that problem. I can take care of that problem. Oh, and this guy's about to fall from this scaffold, and he's flying off panel to do that, and he's talking to somebody in the watchtower. I think Midnighter in the watchtower, and and he's like, "What do you mean it fall off a scaffold?" And then the next panel, he's caught the guy. He's already there, and he's like, "Don't worry, I got it." That was a nice little storytelling beat. I will admit, and it sold well artistically. But
it mimics, but that story beat too mimics the 2 pages before that with how he treats his coffee. So that's like he takes an extra point whatever seconds to drink his coffee because he wants to savor it, and then the very next panel, it's like they set up all these really cute kind of story ticks. I think there's a really, really good book in here that was kind of hampered by not only this event and just like not necessarily great storytelling.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I really liked it. This was one of my favorite ones this week. I liked how this is a minor point, but I like how they render his heat vision. I think it's a cool way to do that. And I also like that because presumably he doesn't have a secret identity. Like he's in the shop or the diner with Wonder Woman, and you can see his costume coming out of this shirt that he's wearing. I think they're just
hiding himself.
Yeah, he's hiding himself, but not as like an ongoing. They just don't want people to recognize them at that time, kind of thing. And I was grabbed by the ending. I really enjoyed the art and the mythology stuff that Len talked about earlier. And the ending is classic What's going to happen now, comic book style, with the tyrant sun and this sun god involved? I do kind of wonder what is happening when the sun is chasing Solaris, and there were two suns in the sky, and now they are both moving. Is that like I mean, it must be a god's thing, but is the actual sun following Solaris around in the sky?
Didn't they say that? Didn't they say that was pretty much the problem? The fact that like it was floods and earthquakes, like shit was happening fast.
Yeah, they did say that
because the sun was rapidly rotating around the Earth.
Yeah, but which also is not what happened. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm beyond that with comic books.
Sure. Also, people throw things into the sun a lot faster than they ought to be able to. You know, like, oh, it's in the sun.
Kara Zor-El, Superwoman #1 by Marguerite Bennett and Marguerite Sauvage. I didn't read it. What'd you guys think?
Oh, I didn't get that one either.
I didn't read it either.
I thought it was boring.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Can I say one thing about it though?
Yeah.
Like I saw a clickbait article about this comic. That was so weird. Because it's the first page of the comic. Crypto is dead.
Oh no.
Yeah, like she's just mourning. Like she's visiting his grave at the beginning. She lives on the moon where a colony is, however many thousands of years in the future. I don't know. It was a weird story. It was very boring, and it's not a Kara Zor-El that I recognize. She's very maudlin and is afraid of her own power and doesn't like to get angry. Like it was. I didn't enjoy this at all.
Okay. Robin Eternal #1 by Megan Fitzmartin and Eddie Barrows. This one I did like, and people who like Tim Drake, I'm sure, are happy that this is a Tim-centric book. And I like to see Eddie Barrows. He was doing a really great run on the New 52 Nightwing, which I really enjoyed. I like his art very much. So yeah, I like this a lot. What did you guys think, Brian?
I agree. I also liked it a lot. I mean, are we saying what happened at the end?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the title. Well, that's one of the main reasons that, especially afterwards, having learned for sure that this is one extended timeline, not multiple different, universes, he presumably becomes immortal, given the title and the fact that he was exposed to some Lazarus resin, or a great deal of Lazarus resin. And I actually think that could be an interesting thing for Tim Drake now in regular continuity, because Tim Drake doesn't really have, it's the problem of Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne is a cool character. He's a good Robin. But if you like Tim Drake more, there's no, there's nothing for him to do. And he can't be, even if he goes back as Robin, he kind of doesn't, it doesn't feel the same as before when there was no Damian as Robin or what have you. Yeah, so it would be an interesting Bat-centric thing for him to become, an immortal for a little while. It would certainly change his character, but he.
Well, I wouldn't even mind if they put them together, if they teamed up Tim and Damian, because Tim is a detective. Damian is not a detective. Damian is an assassin. So I wouldn't mind the dichotomy of the two of them playing off each other, which is what they were doing for a little while with, I think, Dick Grayson and Damian.
And Grant Morrison's run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they have a very good relationship.
Yeah. No.
Oh, I didn't finish this issue, but I liked what I had read so far. It was cool. It was fine. I like Eddie Barrows and I like Tim Drake. So
I got lost in the art of it. I don't know if I really cared about the story so much, or really understood it that much. But and there was some inconsistencies with the signing with the Darcy character,
yes,
and the translation of it, because is she deaf or I just wasn't sure. I
think she is,
but she talks later.
She has an earpiece that I think is like a future tech kind of thing that she turns off during that conversation. That is what gets them caught. Which also was when they were flying up there. I'm like, isn't that earpiece that Tim was worried about going to get them caught? In fact, it was.
But I just got lost in the. I honestly just got lost in the art. I enjoy the art a great deal. I don't know how much I really like the book, but I like the art. I like Tim Drake so I like seeing him do stuff. And I think this was, is this his Drake costume that he has on, that he's wearing?
Something like it. It's like a variation of it. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, I like Tim Drake getting killed.
You don't like Tim Drake?
Oh no, I like him, but it's such a like stare at it for a while panel because it's so grotesque, but
I know,
like it's just the eyes rolling. Oh man,
yeah,
it's a good awful panel.
Yeah, it's not a sexy death.
No,
like he definitely shit his pants.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and he's still then when he comes back,
lost 8 ounces, you know what I'm saying?
He could be a through-line character. Like, I wonder how long this time scale this book will take place over. Like, he could wind up in the end of time, or like whatever some of the later books are, hundreds of years, or
in the Legion,
1,000 years. Yeah.
Well, I don't know though. Are we to assume that this version of the Lazarus resin makes you immortal? Because I don't think the Lazarus pit makes you immortal. It just brings you back to life, and then you can die again, right? Which is why you have to keep using the Lazarus pit.
That is true, but they say this Lazarus resin gets into your system, and it works only on synthetics. They say earlier in the book, they're like, oh, does it work on humans? And they say, no, it doesn't. But on synthetics, it makes them immortal. And the title of the book is Robin Eternal.
Yeah.
So that's what those two things lead me to.
I remember I was like most of the way through this book going, why is this called Robin Eternal? What does this even have to? Oh,
what can somebody look? Somebody's got better connection. Look up when this lies on the timeline. Is this during Dark Detective? Because one of the things that it didn't bug me, but it was also kind of like, all right, if Bruce Wayne faked his own death, and he knew that one of his Robins was still active, do you think he would continue to hide from said Robin? Exactly. So I'm wondering when this happens, because it just felt very un-Bruce to be like, still dead. Go ahead and danger yourself. I'm still dead.
Well, unless he is doing something else that he feels is more important.
Yeah. Where does this lie?
This takes place. This is in 2025. Dark Detective is in 2027.
Oh.
So he's been dead for 2 years by the time Dark Detective happens?
I also have my suspicions about this timeline because some things are not in it, and it also says that Yara Flor's Wonder Woman is in 2050, but she's also in Justice League. So,
well, I mean that Wonder Woman story could be 4,000 years in the future or 4,000 years in the past. It has nothing to do with anyone else.
That's true.
Yeah.
But are you telling me that this isn't all planned out?
I'm saying that this timeline may not be accurate.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, whoever put the timeline together may not have done it correcely.
DC.
The monolith of DC put it together.
Yes. Right. Yeah, it was Douglas Charles. It's his comic company.
Future State Teen Titans #1 by Tim Sheridan and Rafa Sandoval. I haven't read it. What did you guys think?
I didn't read it either.
All right, let's move on.
That was cool.
Brian, you read it?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was an interesting. It didn't stand out from any other Future State book. It was just another hey, things are not so great in this future world, and here's what the Titans are up to. Beast Boy and Cyborg are combined into one character somehow. I mean, their both personalities are still there, it seems, but they are the cybernetic parts of Cyborg are on Beast Boy. Yeah, I mean, it was, and we get the reveal by the end that was teased in all the covers and everything that Nightwing puts on the Deathstroke mask.
Oh, I didn't see that. Do they explain how they're still teens?
They do, actually. Most of them are not the ones that... Starfire is there, Nightwing is there, but there's a slew of other young characters that I don't know.
The next generation.
So, teen cannon fodder. Before we move on to the other books, Brian, do you want to go into the promos?
Oh, yeah. JD, do you want to tell us about patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo?
Sure. You can help the show out there. It would be
Nice.
great. If you don't have any money, because a lot of us don't, you can just like and subscribe and comment below and help our little channel out. We go live every 10:30 a.m. on Sundays. Every 10:30 a.m. on Sundays. There's only one of those every Sunday. So every one of those on Sundays, we go live and we talk about the week's comic books. We also put up Thunder Rounds, which are 60-second reviews of comic books. And I'm a little behind. Someone emailed me and said, hey, are the audio versions of the podcast not going up on CultPopGo.com anymore? And I said, well, they are. Jadles is a busy boy and doesn't have anyone to edit for him. So I'm going to get to those as soon as I can. I'm so sorry. The iTunes stream is a little behind the YouTube stream because these are a lot easier. I just show up and I do it and then I go run my store. So you can help us out at CultPopGo.com. Patreon.com/CultPopGo. Maybe I could hire an editor. No, did you have something to say?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay.
Now, to be clear, we do not broadcast at 10:30 a.m. in other time zones every Sunday. We don't do one show every hour for the entirety of Sunday, moving positions.
All global times.
That's a good point.
Just in case there was any confusion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next book, which is from Image Comics. It's called Ha Ha! #1, written by W. Maxwell Prince and art by Vanessa Del Rey. Ha Ha! Is a genre-jumping, throat-lumping look at the sad, scary, hilarious life of those who get paid to play the fool. But these ain't your typical jokers. Ha ha! Peeks under the big top, over the rainbow, and even inside a balloon to tell a wide-ranging slew of stories about funny men and women, proving that some things are just so sad, you just have to laugh. So I had terrible nightmares last night as I was sleeping. And then I woke up and I was in a foul mood and I was nervous about money and about my life and about my upcoming unborn son and about the store. And I was just riddled with anxieties. And I thought, well, it's time to open up a comic book to read for the show that we're going to do later today. Let me read Ha Ha! #1. And, it was horrible. I hated it. And to be honest, my state of mind may have played a big part in that, but I did not like the art. I did not like the story. I found it not to be a horror story so much as just a depressing one. I didn't find anything horrific about it. It's basically about a clown who has a shitty life and his wife hates him and he's a amusement park clown, and then the amusement park shuts down, and then his best friend robs him, and then he goes to the bank to cash his final paycheck, and then that gets robbed, and then he gets shot in the head, and then after getting shot through the head and it passing clean through his skull and not causing any real damage, says the EMT at the ambulance out front of the bank, who fixed him up and bandaged him up and then sent him the fuck home, because that's how EMTs and ambulances work. He goes home and, everyone looks like a balloon person. And then that's the end of the book. Ha ha! What did you guys think of it, Len?
Oh, God, I hated this book. I hated this book. It was... Okay. All right, let me be constructive. It's not a bad premise on the whole, even though it's weird to, go into the world of this, sideshow clown, if you will, who eats his breakfast in makeup and then goes throughout his day in makeup. I mean, I was like, is this haha, or am I reading Quick Change, the comic book? Like, I was expecting this dude to all of a sudden, let's be Bill Murray in this joint. But I mean, my God, man, if you thought the sad sack Joker of the Joker movie was sad sack, you've not met anything till you meet this guy. And then the art is just real sketchy and weird. And I'm all down for kind of like a exploration on depression and sad characters and, you know, looking at things from a totally dour point of view. But my God, this was just I felt icky after reading this, man. I felt like really, and that splash page is a big like red herring, because it looks kind of like and then it's like everything just goes to hell. I mean, it's weird, man. I mean, now I will say, I never thought I would read a comic book where I would actually look from a bullet view of going through somebody's head, and it coming out on the other side into what's the Toonsville. This one, it looks like it comes out on the other side of it. Yeah. But so I will say that was kind of cool. But other than that, this book is just it's not my cup of tea. Maybe it's someone else's. It's not mine.
Brian, was it your cup of tea?
It was my cup of tea. Yes. I thought it was phenomenal. Phenomenal maybe. I thought it was great. Okay. It opens with this like this pastoral beauty on this thing, but there is even in the first page a hint of this like surreal kind of nature, and there is a surreality to his sadness, I think, throughout. But it's not just sadness. Like I don't think he's that sad. Right. I think it's a really interesting psychological moment that we get later on, where he's talking about, he's in the bank and he's like, I should go to night classes. All these things are possible for me, right? Like
he's very optimistic despite his downtrodden life.
He is, and you think even maybe he could, like, oh, maybe he chose this path, but he's taking night classes, you know. But then you see that optimism that you mentioned is highlighted when a little bit later, when the bullet is passing through his brain, it's they give you the actual history of his life, where like he was rejected from 3 colleges, you know. So his earlier like, I could do any of these things. The world is my oyster. All these paths are open. The bullet passing through his brain, I see where you're coming from, JD. I think that's just a bit of magical realism. That is, you know, that's like you just kind of accept that this incredibly improbable or impossible thing has occurred.
Oh, you know what's funny? I'm not bothered by the bullet passing through his brain and leaving him mildly unharmed. I mean, obviously he is harmed. We find out by the end he's harmed. It's the EMT in front of the bank wraps his head in gauze and then he goes home.
Yeah, the EMT should not be making the medical, you know, giving him the medical clearance to go home from a bullet that just went in and out of your head.
Yeah, we don't need a doctor. I'm an EMT. I can see that the bullet passed clean through you. Here's some gauze.
Yeah,
my MRI app says
right. But yeah, there's like a sort of idyllic nature. There's like a heightened reality throughout that I often find in surrealism. That is one of the things that I love about it. And this had that feel to me, even though not that many things happen that couldn't or wouldn't happen in our world.
I keep going this page. The balloon people. You don't like the balloon people? I keep going back and forth. With if he actually got up off the ground.
I was wondering
and the rest. So the only thing that kind of makes me think I think he didn't get up off the ground. However, the last panel of the page is his family, normal looking, saying, "Get inside, I'll die of embarrassment."
That's what ruins the whole thing.
Which is the joke. But it might not ruin the whole thing, because even in his happiest kind of place, his wife still loathes him. Because his happy place before all this, his wife was just loathsome of him. So like it could work as like a layer of sadness on top of his delusion because he's dead. Or the EMT actually did let him go, and now he sees all these crazy things, and he's going to be even more separated from
reality.
Yeah, the way I took it was, I was wondering that myself. As soon as the EMT let him go, I went, "Oh, this isn't real. He's dead. This is a dead thing." But then we see his point of view, and his kids and everybody are balloon people, and then we are shown what I believe to be the reality of the situation is that he's home.
Which,
and
again, works for me too, because I'd like, in a weird way, it's like a punishment for the wife.
Yeah.
Everything that you hated about this man is
more
tenfold or 100-fold more because of the trauma he just experienced.
Yeah.
I like this.
Oh, cool.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Like I said,
like, it was stupid, but I liked it.
I went at it from a weird place. Did any of you find it to be a horror story?
No, I didn't.
No. Nor did I think that it was supposed to be. I mean, it's certainly a kind of, it's maybe not that alien to the theme, the like moods that are presented in horror, but I wouldn't have thought it was.
Also, too, I've never read Ice Cream Man, so this is in the same vein of it being an anthology series. Each one's a short story. I assumed after reading this one, and whoever's read that book can correct me, that they're not all. Siri doesn't understand that they're not all monsters or supernatural. Some of them are just kind of like thrillers. So it's just all of the genres under this just one little rule of it being about a clown.
I mean, it does say that it is a genre-jumping, throat-lumping look.
Oh,
yeah. So like some will be about a bank robbery, some will be about a fucking demon clown, some will be about ghosts. So I didn't really think anything of it.
I assume they will all have this kind of feel, though, and I assume that because that's what it looks like Ice Cream Man kind of feels like, and, you know, it's just maybe his kind of style is this borderline fantastical kind of thing.
As much as this was just kind of like, I liked it okay, I can't remember who it was, but I did look ahead, because it's a different artist every issue.
Oh, good.
I looked ahead, and I remember seeing one of the artists' names and being like, I would read that. So, I mean, anthology books are so weird because, like, one issue would be fucking awful to you, but then the next one is just a masterpiece because it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, like, if somebody should pick this. So I attempted to do a Thunder Round on this earlier this week, but my whole recording and editing is just terrible, and it came out awful. But one of the points I tried to make in the video was that as much as I kind of enjoyed reading this, enjoyed as much as you can reading something like this, it's hard to say pick this book up because the next one could be completely different or much worse or much more, you know, to your likings. It's subjective. So I don't know. It's weird. Like, should somebody pick this up if you're interested?
Yeah. If you like the idea of clowns used in this kind of way broadly, then yeah.
If you like the creators,
as a hardcore horror fan, I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend it as a horror. No.
Homesick Pilots #2 from Image Comics by Dan Waters and Casper Wingard. The old James house has lost its ghosts. With her new powers, it's up to Amy to bring them back, whether they want to come home or not. Even when they're really big ghosts, trapped in metal with lots of sharp edges and things. We read the first issue, and I think a couple of us liked it. I enjoyed it. It was punk rockers in a haunted house, which is just so many different things up my alley. And then I thought that this was fine. I really enjoyed the first issue, and then this one sort of left me a little bit cold. But again, I read this after reading #1 and having just a terrible time. So then again, I was a little grumpy. So I thought that this was just fine. I like the idea of this woman has gone into this haunted house, and the house is now sending her to different places to get the ghosts that should be there but aren't there. And it reminds me a little bit of the Friday the 13th, the television show from the late 80s, early 90s, I think, where it had nothing to do with Friday the 13th, just name only, and it was like, we got to go hunt down these haunted objects. So it sounds exactly the same to me, as far as like the overall plot of the book. But I still enjoyed it. I'm still going to keep with it. But this second issue I thought was just a little like a step down from the first issue. Especially, it is also kind of dark with the outcome of the woman with her lucky charm, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. And how being too lucky can break you.
It really gets to the idea of like, well, well, that's not really all that lucky then, is it? You know,
Right.
like it's not. Sometimes whenever you hear this philosophy put forward, like, oh, you don't want to be too lucky or too happy or have things work out too well. It's like, no, there is no work out too well. If it starts not being good, it's not working out well anymore. You know what I mean?
So it's like a monkey's paw version of good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Like the dictionary definition of what luck might be rather than actual good luck, you know, or a very momentary. Like she says, I miss going out in the rain. Like, why can't you go out in the rain? Like,
never rains. She's always lucky.
Yeah, but I mean, is that like she likes the rain?
I mean, it's the ghost's interpretation. Right? Yeah, I like this a lot. I like. I
love the art.
I love the art. But I love the conceit. So like the first issue was almost like one full story about getting into this haunted house, and I actually forgot that it started with the house looking like a giant Zord from Power Rangers. If you guys remember that.
Me too.
So that's going to like eventually wrap itself around. But I love the idea of this punk rock orphan being used as an agent for the house to go collect all of its children to bring them home. It's just this is like part anthology, part adolescent, or like part coming of age, part ghost story, part like I really like this. This was really cool. I like it a lot. And also too, I like the real stuff that's happening too. So like the two friends being arrested at the same time that she is being used as a ghost whisperer across the country, and how hopefully two people converge. This is great.
And I like that their friendship, the commentary that this book has on their friendship, from the cold opening in the beginning where you see how they became friends, and then too, as they're each of them are dealing with their, you know, she's dealing with her situation and their two buddies are dealing with their situation, they still have commentary on each other. Like she's like, oh man, this would be cool if I had some help, but how selfish am I to bring them into this weirdness, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to do that to my boys, you know? And yet they're both like, well, dude, like, I want to help her, you know, we want to get her out of the house, but you see all this blood? This is bigger than just us. If we really want to help her, we need to go get some help, you know, and that's like real world conversation, you know what I mean? I enjoyed the art with it. I enjoyed the commentary about luck. I thought that was really cool, a nice little twist. I think the only thing that really kind of like took me out of it a little bit was like this horseshoe then becoming part of the young girl and creating like this huge horseshoe. That kind of took me out of it a little bit. That was a very comic booky, but
wait, was that a big horseshoe?
Yeah.
Like the ectoplasm. The ectoplasm of the ghost melds with the horseshoe, melds with the girl, and wraps her up, and she becomes a giant horseshoe.
I guess she is a giant horseshoe. I just kind of saw it as like big tendrils.
If you remember too, the which this is all keeps coming back, the first solicitation was something like Power Rangers meets Haunted House meets punk rock.
They did.
So this is just another episode in that really weird TV show where ghost objects become giant monsters and we have to fight them to collect them. It's a fucking Japanese video game, but layered into. There's so many things going on with this book. I get like very favorable alienated vibes. Like there's a concept. Yeah, there's a concept, but then there's a really excellent human story underneath this high level concept. This book is great. This is going to be an awesome collection. Is this a miniseries or a ongoing? I don't even know.
I thought we talked about it before. Like it's an ongoing, if I remember, it's an ongoing, but we then argue that it's probably an ongoing that's got an end in mind, as opposed to like just something that's going to keep on going.
Horseshoe Ghost said there's only 6 left.
Yeah, there's a lot fewer of them than I thought. I thought it was going to be like a lot of pieces of that house. I gotta say, I mean, I think it's okayly done. You know, like it's enjoyable. I think the parts where she is white-haired and going after retrieving these things is cool. I'm not super into either Power Rangers or punk rock, so those elements don't really like that doesn't carry me anywhere with
Well,
them.
I don't think any of them have any, like, it's not an intrinsic part of the story.
Sure. Well, but I'm
It's
not
just
really
window
too
dressing.
into
Tropes.
Yeah, those you know, like
I see.
Zords and that kind of thing are never really grabbed me. So like the idea of them becoming like her taking on that house could be cool. It could not be. It's to me, it's kind of like this is a well done comic that would never be at the top of my list of interests, you know.
Gotcha.
But I'm like,
Sure.
oh, it's cool. Yeah.
I want to comment just very quickly about teenagers, and I can't tell if this is just the writing or if it's just teenagers are stupid. But like, if I see a girl, and we're in high school together, and I see her across the street, and I yell, "Hey, new girl, the Ramones suck," and then she ignores me. But what his actual opinion is, what did she say? And the Ramones entirely suck. They are old people and they suck. Even the Ramones know that they suck. They're trying to play pop music, but they suck. So it comes out as punk. That's why they're so angry. That's why they're great. And I'm like, what? What was this? Whoa. That was nonsense.
That's very teenager. Yeah.
Wait, I have a question. Are the Ramones punk? I thought they were like rock.
No, they're straight punk.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I like the Ramones. So.
Oh, well, then I guess you
now
lied
you're
before.
in.
There we go. This
Now you're
book is
I
probably the best thing I read this week.
I took it a little bit too as like, hey, she almost just died, and then back talking. That's why they're great.
Oh, okay. All right.
But either way, it does come off as awkward because they're teens.
Yeah. Yeah, just that was a strange interaction, but yeah, I guess it's because they're teenagers and he was just fucking awkward.
I like the thing Len mentioned too, where you know they're like, yeah, I don't like cops in the sense of like they bust me for weed and they break up my show, but this house is covered in blood. We need to go call the cops.
Right.
Yeah, this is bigger than hating cops. Just
right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to King in Black, Gwenom versus Carnage #1, not by Image Comics, it's by Marvel Comics, by Seanan McGuire and Flaviano. Am I saying that right? It's a female. Seanan. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, Gwen Stacy enters the fray against the King in Black. Bonded to a synthetic symbiote from another reality, Ghost Spider, aka Gwen Stacy of Earth 65, is unique among the web slingers of the multiverse. But when Noel descends on her adopted home, his gravity well of dark psychic energy will reap unforeseen consequences, not only on Gwen, but on her symbiotic suit as well. I have no idea where her suit comes from.
Yeah, there was something that we read. We might have read a Ghost Spider #1 or something where they kind of explained that she lost the power.
They're sentient spiders, so
Right.
it's like a symbiote. Yeah, it's gross. Whatever it is, it's gross.
Is it like exactly like a symbiote? Is this like there's a King in Black from her universe, and because Null kind of hints at that.
I don't care.
You know?
I don't know. Like it's such a weird conceit, and even when we talked about it before, then it's such a weird conceit, and it's explicitly not a symbiote, but it has a symbiotic relationship with her and all the
like there's
spiders.
no second consciousness. Or is there?
No, not that I've ever read in the few times I've read.
Yeah, I don't think they have a conversation with each other.
It's just goo that moves, and sometimes it has legs when it's coming off for her honor, which is again disgusting.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that it reacts unkindly or weirdly to other symbiotes makes sense, but not in any kind of. There's no communication. There's no pull that she has away from it. If anything, it's probably stopping her from being fully possessed like all the other superheroes. With all that said, I didn't like this. I was really bored the whole time.
You were bored, you said?
Yeah.
See, outside of the character design, don't really give a filth about this Gwen Stacy. Yet, and I certainly don't give a damn about this whole event. Yet, because of the energy of the art of this book, I found myself enjoying this comic book. Nice. I found myself like just getting into just this like the the art, the energy, this Ghost Spider just looked cool the entire book. Just the movement, the way she was swinging. She was smart, you know, covering her feet in webs so she could then ride the dragon. I mean, none of it made any sense. I didn't know what the hell and didn't care about what the hell was going on. But this big, dumb action piece, I was like, okay. And now Mary Jane is going to be Carnage. Oh, my God. Get out of here. But it's the Mary Jane from her neck of the woods, from her Earth. 65, which I'm sure is supposed to refer to something. I don't know. I don't care. I'm like, okay. This to me was like the Black Cat, the book.
Oh.
I didn't care, but it was fun. So what the hell?
Yeah.
Why did her suit get venomy? They didn't really say, right? It's just assumed.
No, it kind of just happens.
Right, Dan. I think it's because of whatever was happening with Mary Jane. Also having symbiotes on her.
Oh no, it's slowly happening the whole book.
Yeah, the whole book you see it. It's slowly.
Not, it doesn't just happen there.
Well, I mean, they explained it in the thing that I read before talking about it. What is it called? The description is that it's having an effect on her symbiote.
Oh, I didn't read the description before I read the book. It didn't seem like it was.
You guys mean like the kind of the spiky things that come off when she's in action and that kind of thing?
No, just her suit slowly turning into a venom suit.
But when Noel descends on her adopted home, his gravity well of dark psychic energy will reap unforeseen consequences. So that's what I took that as. It's like it's just like being near it as messing with everything.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with Len. I thought this was a fun book. Again, like the costume design is the most notable thing about the Gwen Ghost Spider for me, because it is a great costume. But yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it similarly, like maybe I like Black Cat a little bit more, but this was a cool, just like this character's journey while this whole other big thing is happening, and she's trying to make her way through this world, and Mary Jane becoming, who I think is like her best friend from her universe, becoming Carnage. That's not great. That's not great.
I didn't read the Black Cat issue. I guess I should go back. I wasn't on that show.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because when I saw they were doing a King and Black Cat tie-in, I was like, what? Why?
Yeah.
How would this even? And I went,
oh,
okay.
Oh, that's
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the end where the book is moving forward and how it ties into King and Black, I was like, that's pretty cute. I like that. All right, and then we're going to wrap it up with King and Black Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts!
By Matthew Rosenberg and Juan Ferreira. Kingpin's killers versus an army of unkillable dragons. An army of evil space dragons have come to attack Earth and are starting with New York. Mayor Fisk has a plan for that. Assembling a group of mercenaries, killers, and just generally pretty horrible people like Taskmaster, Rhino, Star, Mr. Fear, and Batroc Zeliper. Mayor Fisk tasks them with saving the city or die trying, or die right then and there. The fate of the entire world may rest in the hands of the absolute worst people in the Marvel Universe. What could go wrong? The artwork.
Oh, I like the art.
You like the art? Yeah, I like the art.
The
you don't like the boys?
Man, the artwork
it
really pulled me out of the book. I found it difficult to care about it because I just didn't like the art at all. I think the one time I had any reaction to it was when Rhino decides he's going to leave the team, and then Batroc Zeliper goes, "Bye, hippopotamus," which I thought was funny. And so the setup in the beginning is we've got Kingpin, and he's got this whole table full of cannon fodder, right? He's going to send out there. They're all going to die. We all know this. And the one guy's like, "Nah, man, I'm going back to jail. I don't want to do this." And Kingpin goes, "Okay, that's fine. Guards, take him back to jail." And then outside the room, you hear blam, and he goes, "Oh, no. Incendiary tried to escape custody. What a shame. Anyway, what were you saying?" And then the whole table, including Rhino, goes, "Oh, I'm in." He's afraid of a gun?
I think it was just I get to walk out of this room if I say I'm in.
Yeah, well, I mean, true,
More than
because
anything
later
else.
on he's like, later.
Yeah, and also too, like the cold open of this book is a featured press conference where he says everyone died, but they died helping turn the tide.
Yeah.
And then it's a few days earlier, so we're under the impression that everyone, including the main characters in this book, are dead
or at least
before it starts.
Yeah, I doubt that Taskmaster and Star are going to
Star,
die.
yeah, now
Or
Batroc
Rhino.
too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, probably most of the ones that we know are not actually dead. Because the one that died, like the two that died, were the ones that I was like, who are they?
Yeah.
You know?
This was Suicide Squad. This wasn't even like trying to not be Suicide Squad, which I mean, I thought it was funny. I thought it was fine.
Although I see, I very rarely, if ever, like it when a book's or any kind of story starts out in the way that this does, where it's like, here's the resolution. Now we get to it. You know, when this one's like, they all died. Now here's the story of when we get to that part. It's just, I often find myself like, all right, well, when are we going to, let's catch up, or I know it's going to happen. It can be done and be good, but it put me on a bad foot for the book. Which overall, I mean, there were good moments. I enjoyed moments of it, and I like them taking the electrical guys' weaponry for themselves.
Yeah.
Which is really something that people in this universe should do more often. When, you know, like, well, why can't I, Batroc the Leaper, also have electrical powered feet? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. He made them all go maskless too.
Yeah.
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 I thought that was
I thought that was cool.
interesting. I mean, I thought it was fun. I thought it was just again, I don't care a whit about this event, but this was fun. I was like, it's the boys. That's what I read.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, too, the art was very evocative of Derrickson.
For sure. Yeah.
Too.
I like seeing Star again. Also, we all enjoyed her miniseries, and
I still don't remember how her powers work, but yeah.
I think she's merged with the Reality Stone, right? So her powers kind of work however she feels like them working. It feels like
I didn't remember it, tuckering her out. I didn't remember that, so I was like, I'll roll with it. I don't remember that.
Robert Policcio is commenting on Facebook. When are they going to get to the fireworks factory? What is that?
That is a Simpsons reference to the episode with Poochie, where because I said they were waiting. Like I am waiting for this thing to happen during the story. They never get there. Gotcha. Yeah.
Can I tangentially mention something? So I've been reading Daredevil Shadowland, like the whole thing, and everyone told me it's trash and skip it. It's garbage. Don't do it. So the way that the omnibus is mapped out, it's the Daredevil series and the Shadowland event interspersed with each other in chronological order. But then all of the tie-ins are in the back, separate themselves. So like 1 through 3 of this one and 1 through 4, like all of these like side issues are in the back. So I'm more than halfway through Shadowland and Daredevil, and it's great. I'm like, this is really good. Why is everyone bitching about this? This is a really good.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it up to a certain point as well.
So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start reading this chronologically now, because I don't know. Like, I'm not going to go back and read all that other stuff after I read the event. Let me just skip around in the omnibus. I got 2 issues into the side stories. The first one being like the Heroes for Hire one, and it was like, that's all right. That's not bad. That's all right. And then I got to Moon Knight, and it was one of the worst things I've ever fucking read in my entire life.
Wow.
And I realized, like, oh, that's what everybody means, because everyone experienced this in real time, it was just such a slog. So now I have that feeling about some of these King in Black tie-ins where a lot of the pieces are fantastic, but the whole thing the whole thing in a way feels just as good as its weakest link, because it's all coming out at the same time. So I mean, it's like, I think the event is still solid, but some of these side stories are just mediocre to fine, and it kind of tarnishes the whole thing.
Oh, it does not tarnishing it for me. It just makes me not want to read as many of the tie-ins as I thought I did.
Ditto.
But Black Cat, you didn't think that you wanted to read. Turned out to be awesome.
The Immortal Hulk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Immortal Hulk was great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But there was I at the very beginning of the show, tying it all back around. We didn't answer it when Chris mentioned he thinks that the big two should be all events, all times. Just forget about it.
No. I think he was saying that when they do events, they should take over the publishing line, like Age of Apocalypse did for the X-Men.
He said no ongoings, right?
No, I think he meant like the events should be just
during an event, no ongoings.
During an event, yeah.
Okay,
I think so.
I mean, okay.
I mean, it all depends on the strength of the event, right? Like Age of Apocalypse lives in our memory with fondness now. It lives in some of our memories with fondness now. 10 of Swords. What was the thing that just came out of the X-Men? Yeah.
Swords. Which I guess
not live even in my memory now with the title, as you can see.
A good example of that happening and it being the worst goddamn thing ever was Age of X-Man, where all of the X titles became completely different titles, and it was different series, and they were all connected in really stupid ways. I love the idea that that was an event where the main conflict was that there's no conflict in this world.
Oof.
Like
that was brutal.
It's like the homesick pilots thing where, it's like, is perfection really a problem? Well, then it's not perfection,
All right. You can email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. You can tweet at me at JD's Hero Complex. You can help the show out at patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. You can visit me at my little comic shop in Manayunk, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex at 4327 Main Street. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Len, where can the people find you?
Holla at me at every place that you find the Black Tribbles. Holla, holla, holla at a Tribble.
Brian.
I'm at brianliebdesign.com, and you can find me there.
And Noel.
Aside from here every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as during the week with Thunder Rounds on our YouTube channel, you could just find me on Twitter at Mr. Bartocci, MRBARTOCCI, or any of our social feeds.
Nice.
And next week, guys, is that next week, or is it 2 weeks from now that we will be reading Vision by Tom King for our book club? So if anybody would like to read along, well, you should read it beforehand.
Yeah, we're not going to be reading it live.
Oh, I thought we were. You're going to turn pages live, and we're going to take turns doing all the word boxes.
We're just going to be Masterpiece theatering our way through it.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, who has watched WandaVision?
I have watched it.
Okay, right. Yeah, everyone gets 2 sentences. Len.
It was fine and black and white.
No.
It was underwhelming by design.
You're
done?
Oh, I get another sentence.
One more.
Underwhelming by design. Very excited about the Easter eggs.
Okay.
Where it's leading. Very excited about where it's leading.
Brian.
I am glad that it got to where it got by the end of the second episode, because the first 2, while cute, still embodied the dated tropes and storytelling styles of previous eras, and therefore kind of
Palm Springs, comma.
I watched that too. I enjoyed it.
Colon.
I hope to work it in the show.
You're extending your one sentence.
Yeah, I know.
I was thinking about
Mr. Loquacious over here with the 1-sentence paragraph.
This is absolutely still one
up
sentence too. This is not even the most complex sentence I could do. I mean, this is totally different, but it's not about WandaVision.
Not a challenge.
Anyway, yeah, it was cute. I liked it. I'm really looking forward to what happens in the future. And Vision's characterization was a little different than I really loved about him in Avengers 2. But like I said, I'm glad that they got where they were going.
There we go. I agree with, I think, everyone here. It's not something for new viewers of the Marvel Universe. It relies heavily on knowing who these characters are and that something is amiss. But I don't think 2 whole episodes of this pastiche was successful for me because I don't care about sitcoms. So I'm excited to see what happens next, though. I'm definitely going to stick with it. Yeah. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. We will see you here next Sunday at 10:30 a.m. And we'll talk at you later.
Da, da, da.